Honorable Minister Namal Rajapaksa is a role model for youth around Sri Lanka today. He is the Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, making him the youngest cabinet member in the present government. He was educated at St. Thomas College, Mount Lavinia, where he captained the rugby team. He then went on to lead the Sri Lankan national rugby team until the year 2014. With a degree in law from the City University London, he qualified as an attorney at law from the Sri Lanka Law College. Mr. Namal Rajapaksa is a founding member of the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Perumuna political party, the Jaya Charitable Foundation, Carlton Sevens International Rugby Tournament, and the Tarunyata Hetak Youth Organization. A strong yoga enthusiast and an animal rights advocate, he is working towards rebuilding the nation through reconciliation. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Chronicles. Today we have the Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, Mr. Namal Rajapaksa. Mr. Rajapaksa, thank you very much for agreeing to meet with us today, sir. Sir, I am Adam Dilshan and this is my colleague Nafis Sali, and we are representing the Red Cross Society of Royal College. We are extremely honored to have you as our guest at Chronicles for today. For today's segment, we would love to discuss with you the current COVID-19 pandemic situation in Sri Lanka and how it affects the youth and the sports field. Sir, what has been the government's greatest challenge during COVID-19?
See, this is something that we should understand is the COVID-19 pandemic is a global crisis, and it's something new to the globe as well, not only for Sri Lankans. But I must say that Sri Lankan health authorities, defense, and the government has done tremendously to control the outbreak of COVID since the inception. So the biggest challenge is how do we normalize our lifestyle? So the debate is now, are we going to adapt to the new normal, or are we going to stay till things are getting back to normal like it used to be before COVID? So I think the world is moving forward very fast. So as a nation, as a country, as youth, I believe we should adapt to the new normal lifestyle and move forward and get back to normal lifestyle through adapt by following the health guidelines.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to my next question. What has been your most unforeseen challenge? Something that you did not expect at all after the pandemic hit Sri Lanka?
See, once the pandemic hit Sri Lanka, we were in the opposition at that time politically, and we were getting ready for elections. So the election got postponed and kept on postponing. So at that time, the uncertainty of the future, the career of all of us, including every citizen, was affecting all politicians, including myself. So I can imagine how the younger generation who are facing the A-level exams or GCO level exam, getting ready for their GCO level exam, how this pandemic can affect their mental strength, because it is actually a test of life as well at this stage, because it tests your character, your personality. So I think once it kept on postponing, the biggest challenge was for us to whether to stick to politics or do you select a different career path, because globally things were getting very bad and things were getting locked down. The country was getting locked down. The entire normal lifestyle got started to change. And however, we managed to have the elections. But then all of a sudden, I was entrusted with my responsibility of being the youth and sports minister. So now the biggest challenge is how am I going to adapt to the new normal lifestyle and bring back sport and youth activities into Sri Lanka. So this is what we are looking at. We are learning from examples. We are learning from the Middle East, from the European Union, from America. So we need to, it's a learning process. So we need to learn and adapt it to the system that can suit us.
Thank you, sir. Sir, since the athletes cannot have physical training, how do you think that they can keep fit?
See, each athlete can do their own home workouts, because as you know, during the pandemic, most of these fitness challenges and lifestyle programs on social media became very popular. Because when you get more professional, it's all about how self-disciplined you are and how self-controlled you are when it comes to food, training, and your lifestyle. So this is what we are trying to encourage our athletes, get back to training at home. There are a lot of exercises, a lot of things that you can do at home and keep your fitness level. Of course, that might affect when it comes to the international level or the national level, but till you get the opportunity to get back on grounds or get back to gym. You can always keep doing your home workouts. Keep fit, keep your discipline, control your food, do your research on how they can get more fitter by having self workouts. Follow the instructions given by the health authorities and your coach. So all our coaches have instructed the athletes what are the programs that they have to follow during the curfew period or the lockdown period. So these are the things that we have advised athletes. So I believe we need to work on these things more and use social media platform to educate these athletes and also get the message across. This is not going to end anytime soon, as far as I believe. So we need to get back to normal lifestyle, normal training. So we are even in touch with the health authorities to see how the certain sports can start training. So this is what we are doing at the moment, and I'm sure most of the athletes are doing very well at home and they're keeping fit. So the little period of time we had physical prior training on ground, we saw the athletes got back to normal shape. So we are encouraging them to do their workouts at home. The grounds nearby, they use infrastructure close by to their residence, and then follow the guidelines and instruction given by their coaches.
Sir, do you think that these home workouts are effective?
See, if you don't have any option at all, you might as well do something to keep your fitness level. So, especially during a lockdown, and if you are a very competitive athlete, if you're in the international or high performance tier one, or if you're representing a national team, you have to keep fit. You have to train. So you can follow online guidelines, but at the same time, you need to implement that at home. So it might not, definitely, it's not the same effect you do on your ground or with your coach or at the gym, but definitely that will keep you moving forward. Because if you look at the high performance athletes worldwide, they all do their personal training. So personal training doesn't have to be in a particular gym. It can be at your home, or it depend on the schedule you do. So it depend on your program you're conducting, so you're following. So the coaches can guide the athletes as to how the training should happen. So we have to think of other options of getting these athletes into the bubble and get them into high performance training, or give them the opportunity to train in their respective areas. So in a way, Sri Lanka has done tremendously and done very well to control the pandemic. So we have enough stadiums, grounds. Those areas are very much low risk at the moment. So we are able to create a bubble in those areas so that athletes can train. Like, for example, the weightlifting pool, even at this stage, is training in Kandy. And we are looking at players sending the long distance runners to Nuwara. And the volleyball training, volleyball is already in Gaul, and then Wushu is in Ratnapura. And we are looking at placing these athletes into different areas, so the risk is low and they can continue with their training.
Thank you, sir. The next question will be conducted by Nafis Sali.
Thank you, Adam. Moving on to my next question. Has a date been set for the Lankan Premier League to commence?
Yeah, it is. It's actually on November 26th. It will be starting. So even in fact, after this meeting with you all, I'm going to meet the cricket board and the organizers to see the progress of the organizing. So we are fortunate enough that the health authorities and the presidential task force have given the green light. So we have given the responsibility to Sri Lanka Cricket to organize the tournament. So it is due to start on the 26th of November.
Thank you, sir. You had announced that the Lankan Premier League will be played through a travel bubble. Could you explain on what a travel bubble is and how it affects the Lankan Premier League?
Yeah, see, now what the rest of the world do is they create a bubble. They quarantine certain people up to a certain time, depending on the country. Like, for example, from Sri Lankan perspective, we'll say 14 days. Then you isolate the after quarantine, after the health authorities clear them. Then you send them to a separate area where they won't be contacted. They won't have any sort of physical contact with the rest of the people who are not being quarantined for that particular time. So the periodical time to time, the PCR test will be conducted to make sure that the bubble is safe and there won't be any outside contact, physical contact. with the bubble. So what we're trying to do here for LPL is to create a bubble in Hambantota with a couple of hotels and then the Suryava Stadium. So the players who are playing the LPL and the management, coaching, and the staff will be only be in touch or physical contact with the people who have been quarantined and put into the bubble.
Sir, what are your plans to win the medals at the 2021 Olympics at Tokyo? And how will your athletes be trained to win these medals during the current situation?
Yeah, the first challenge, Mali, is to get selected for Olympics because unfortunately at this stage we are finding it. Our target is not to win a medal at this stage, but to get selected because we are yet to be qualified to be participated in Olympics. So that is going to be the biggest hurdle we have at this stage. But I think in the long run, what we should look at is 2028 and beyond, because to create a champion athlete, you need at least 8 years of proper training. So Olympic, of course, we can win medals. We have a good opportunity to get qualified. Many athletes, not only in 2021, we are trying our best. But at the same time, we have a good opportunity to get athletes selected in 2024. Then 2028, I believe we have a very, very good opportunity or the chance of winning a medal. And even sports like rifle shooting, archery, we might even be able to win a medal in 2024. So it's a long-term thing. Like when we start sporting sports schools now from January 2021, that is going to be grade 8. So basically grade 8 into 10 years, you're talking at when you're age of 23, which is 2032. So we actually have done the plan up to 2032.
Thank you, sir. Sir, do you believe that there are enough cricket stadiums in the country to host international events such as the ICC World Cup, or do you propose that we should build more stadiums?
See, not only for cricket, I believe even for other sports, we have a lot of infrastructure. But I do agree we don't have much of synthetic tracks to run in athletics. That's why we are proposing next year, even starting from Jaffna to Colombo. But cricket, I think we have enough international stadiums to host any kind of tournament because we have Ketarama, then we have Suryava, then we have Dambulla, Kandy. And of course, when it comes to test cricket, we have Gaul, then we have SSC, NCC, Broomfield, all those cricket stadiums. And for first class cricket, we have a couple of cricket stadiums, island cricket grounds island-wide. But if you're looking at a sentimental and a social aspect, also for tourism, we can look at building a cricket stadium in Jaffna. That is a possibility of exploring in the future. But at this stage, I believe we have enough stadiums to host any kind of tournament.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to my next question. The youth were facing many issues such as unemployment and lack of opportunities during pre-COVID-19, and it has gotten worse throughout COVID-19. What are your plans to combat this?
See, Mali, now if you look at the statistics, Sri Lanka had anyway 21% youth unemployment just before the pandemic. So the youth unemployment rate was somewhere around 21%. So as a minister, my biggest challenge is to create employment. Because see, even if you look at talk to your parents, even if you talk to my parents, their biggest worry is the future of their children. And how are they going to live? What is their employment and what are the employability of a degree they do? What is the employability of the segment they study into? So this is the biggest worry of a society, of a parent or adult. So we have to understand that. And I do agree we are going through a tough time, probably toughest time in the entire world after the Second World War, which have a lot of other effects in the economic and social aspect, but we have to create employment. So this is what, as a government, we are concentrating on a local market to produce much as we can. So Sri Lanka was a service providing nation, if you look at in the past. So now we have to look at protecting the service providing and expanding that, but at the same time, looking at manufacturing as well. So manufacturing can create employment and bring foreign revenue. So we don't have to depend on tourism and other services for foreign revenue or job creation. So we have to diversify our system or economic dimensions into our marketing strategy from being a service providing country to a manufacturing country, and to manufacture much as you can. So create employment. In fact, 19th of this month, we are signing an MOU with one of the Chinese companies to invest for a tire factory, which is a $300 million tire factory in Hambantota Free Trade Zone. So we need to bring more investors like that and create jobs. So as a ministry, what we are concentrating heavily on training. So we are talking in partnership with the vocational training, skill development ministry, along with Foreign Employment Bureau and Industrial Ministry, the BOI, Board of Investment, and we are working on a collective program to train youth for the upcoming job market. So what we have done in the last 2 months, we have done a study. How many jobs have we lost due to the pandemic? And what are the areas that has been created, or what are the new areas that has been emerged as a result of the pandemic, or new ways of job, new opportunities because of the pandemic? And also, what is the job projection locally and internationally for next 5 to 10 years? So we want to train youth targeting those numbers, because there is no point you give them training if they don't get employment. So this is what we saw in the past. So we have to train them, we have to give them, educate them, or we have to give them skill that there is a requirement in the world market. So this is what we are doing at this stage. So we are looking at heavily on agriculture exports, preserving, and then industrialization. Then also, of course, gear ourselves to get ready as a service providing country once the pandemic comes to an end.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is a question that requires both the sports and the youth. Seeing as most of the large grounds are used by professional players, and as youth and the children are the future of the country, don't you think that when pro players use the grounds, it takes away the opportunity for the children and the novices to develop?
See, now what we have done is we have spoken to all the stakeholders, including military, because Army, Air Force, police have a lot of grounds, and then schools have a lot of infrastructure. So we have had a couple of discussions with the Education Ministry and the Triforces and the police, and also with Sugidasa and other stakeholders, to see the possibility of allowing their infrastructure to be used by the schools and by sports clubs. So which is now in pipeline. So probably by January, we will have a special program where we'll give a timetable for each school, each sports club to come and use these world-class facilities, because you're right, we need to give them more exposure.
Thank you, sir. This is my final question I have for today. Most of the youth who are studying abroad had to come back due to the current situation. Do you think that they can go back to the university and continue with their studies? Or do you think that they will have to wait for a long time?
It all depends on the particular university and what that person wants to do, because, I saw this happening when they wanted to come, even in fact told certain people not to come back and just to continue our studies, because you come from a country and then all of a sudden that country decided to open up, and now their classes have started, and these kids are back in Sri Lanka and ready to go back. So we have to make it a call. We have to, maybe the government also can intervene with the parents and to see, what are the possibilities of sending them back, or whether they can transfer their credit into the local law, other organizations in this country, or whether they can do in a way of distance learning to technology. So these are the things that we have to look at. But definitely, this is an area that we have to concentrate and talk about, because even though many people doesn't talk about it, because there will be a bigger social issue arising in the future, because most of these countries have opened up, like for example Australia, even India, even US, UK, all the universities have started now, but most of the people who came back because of the pandemic, now they're struggling to go back, but the classes have started. So this is something that parents, the teachers, or the parents and the authorities have to come to an understanding as to what to do.
Thank you, sir. The rest of the questions will be handled by my colleague Nafis Salih.
Thank you, Adam. Sir, moving on to my next question. Do you believe that we can host a world renowned large scale event such as the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, of course. My personal belief is we can, because in fact, when I was a member of parliament, I tried to bring Commonwealth Games in 2018 to Hambantota. We just missed it by 18 votes in to Perth, not Perth actually, to Brisbane, I think, Gold Coast, Brisbane. So we have the capacity. We hosted a couple of World Cups in cricket, and we have the capacity. It's just that we need to get ready as a nation to host large scale events, and we have that capacity. We have the experts, we have the knowledge, we have the infrastructure, we have everything around us. Where we can be a better host than most of the countries. We faced the same challenge when we were trying to host the Commonwealth Head of State Summit. Everyone questioned us whether a small country like Sri Lanka can host it. And we proved we can be a global partner in progress rather than just a participant. So this is what we have to look at in the future. If you're looking at sports tourism, if you're looking at $1 billion industry, if you're looking at giving more opportunities to youngsters, more exposure, then we have to host international events and be a progressive partner.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to my next question. Would you please care to illustrate the government's long term plans if this situation continues indefinitely?
See, one thing I sincerely hope this won't continue. There'll be somewhere around the line, somewhere around the line, we will get a vaccine. But we have to adapt to the new normal lifestyle. Even if we get a vaccine, we have to adapt. So we have to think out of the box. We have to think differently and take care of ourselves. At the same time, adapt to the new normal lifestyle. So as a government, we are committed. We want the lifestyle to be normal, but unfortunately, with the health guidelines and the current pandemic, there are a lot of restrictions. But at the same time, we want the economic activities to take place. We want the social activities to take place for following the health guideline. So that's why we are trying to get more investors down. That's why we want the hotels to be open. That's why we want tournaments like LPL to be hosted in Sri Lanka. Because we had the opportunity of going to Dubai or to South Africa or to any other country and host it. Like we were in fact in talks with certain countries to go and host it, for them to be a host. But we decided as a government, no, we want Sri Lanka to host this because we want to show the world that Sri Lanka is ready. So we need to cooperate with the authorities, follow their guidelines, but at the same time, we have to get our economic activities back to normal. So that's what we are trying to do now.
Thank you, sir. Do you think that the current quarantine process is practical for the implementation of the Lankan Premier League, especially the 14-day quarantine process?
It's okay because now it all depends on the sport. Like for cricket, they can afford to do it because the cricket board has already agreed to do 14-day quarantine, and that's a national law. We have to comply with that. But at the same time, there are athletes who are coming from the bubble of IPL, so they can be 7 days quarantine. There's no issue because they are already coming from a bubble. So there are certain practical things that we can implement. So that's what I said. This is a learning curve. We need to learn, and this is a revolving subject. It keeps on changing every other day. Certain WHO decides, all of a sudden decides certain things have to be changed. So things are changing because world is also experiencing this for the first time. So I think even 14 days, for my personal opinion, it's not a long period of time for a quarantine purpose. But for athletes who are coming from a bubble, of course, the authorities can be more lenient.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to my next question. Do you have any advice for any aspiring athletes and youth?
Yeah, of course. I mean, see, I just want my only advice I can say is be positive. Think out of the box. Adapt to the new normal lifestyle. Follow the health guidelines, but be active. So when I say be active, it's not only sports. Be active socially, be active economically, be active physically. So when you are physically active and when you're economically active, you'll be a socially active person. So this all goes hand in hand. If you're economically strong, if you're employed, if you're doing a job, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're selling something online, if you become online entrepreneur, if you start earning money, then you can be a very social, active person afterwards. And if you're physically fitness, you can enjoy life. So if you want to really enjoy life, just be an active human, active youth. That's it.
Thank you, sir, for giving us your time and your expertise. You were very informative and motivational. On behalf of the Royal College Red Cross Society and the Committee of Chronicles 2020, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to you. Have a nice day.
All the best. Thank you. Keep doing well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And stay home. Don't go out.
Of course, sir. Of course.